What's going on? Money Morning Live. 8-baller was great, but now it's time to switch it up into power profit trades with Tom Gentile. He's ready to hang out with you guys for the next hour here in the main room. Let's bring him in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, Tom Gentile. Welcome to Power Profit Trades, 11:30. It is Monday, April 25th, 2022. Markets are down again today, but we got a lot to look up to and lots to review as Microcurrency Monday hits us once again. So I got a lot to cover here. I want to talk about my weekend. I want to talk about what's new in my trading life. I want to talk about how the market is shaping up ahead of what I think is going to be the biggest earnings week so far this year, not just for this quarter, but this could be a turning point or this could be a tipping point here as we're getting the big majors announcing this week. We got to dig into some crypto headlines. I got a PSA for you, as well as other things we want to talk about with crypto. And I want to mention how you can actually add Bitcoin to your portfolio at these current levels. And I'm not talking about adding $38,000 or $39,000 worth of Bitcoin. I'm talking about going all the way down to the satoshi. We'll talk about that too. Questions in the chat. All kinds of things. Let's start off. Eric, how was your weekend?
Tom, it was a beautiful weekend, and just like you were hanging out over by me in New York, which you're going to get to in a minute. I was also here in New York on the sports field with the kids. It was nice. How about yourself? What did you have going on?
I was one county south of you this weekend.
I wish you should have given me a phone call. We could have hung out. It would have been great. Although you probably had more fun.
I wasn't there long enough. I wasn't there long enough, dude. I mean, I wanted to spend more time up there, but my wife was adamant about going up for the event we were at, and then turning around and flying home. So we took the jet from Florida to New York, and by jet I mean JetBlue. And I got to show you. Take a look at this image. This is what it looked like on the way to New York. I mean, packed, oversold flights, and I'm thinking, what's going on? It must be people going home from spring break. That was the only thing I could come up with. So why was I in New York for literally 24 hours? Because I flew in Friday night and I flew out Saturday night. I was literally getting off the plane exactly 24 hours before getting right back on the plane. Well, here's what was going on. My grandnephew, I think I said that right, grandnephew's baptism was this weekend. And, sometimes, you can get out of a lot of things, but Italian guilt is not one of them. And so we ended up going, and it actually turned out to be fun. We actually had a good time. He was baptized in Alpine, New Jersey. I don't know if any of you out here on the chat, whether you're on YouTube or whether you are with us at Money Morning Live, if you know where Alpine, New Jersey is. Alpine, New Jersey is mentioned every couple of years in the likes of the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, as a low tax haven city in New Jersey. Eric, you've heard of Alpine, right?
I've heard of it, yes, but I have not been to it, Tom. So haven't been there.
You go through it. If you blink more than once, you're going to go right. You're going to miss it.
No wonder.
It's a small town that is. It's above Hackensack. It's above Newark. It's close to the edge of the New York border, like just south of Tappan or Tappan, depending on how you pronounce it. But here's the thing: Alpine is one of those places where they don't have much in terms of municipality. That means that they don't have any municipal services. They have no schools. If you want to get your mail, you got to drive to the post office and pick it up. They don't have postmen. And for that, they don't have a lot of taxes. Their taxes are super low, which is why the houses there are priced anywhere from, I think a speck of land is several millions of dollars. And if you get a big size house, you're paying an 8-figure sum. But we were over there and at a baptism, and what was kind of cool was he was baptized from water. This place was so old. One of my friends, his grandfather donated to the church. This guy's name right there on one of the windows, which was really kind of cool. So anyway, they were talking. The deacon was talking about he was that the kids being baptized there were being baptized from water from the Jordan River, which I thought was kind of cool. But it made me think about when I got baptized, and I was thinking, that water from the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh probably wasn't as clear and clean as that water from the Jordan River. Probably not as holy either. But in any event, afterwards we went to a little after party. There's a picture of the after party there. A shot of it at the photo booth. So the photo booth, they were taking photos. There's my wife and my niece and sister-in-law over there chatting. Looks like they're on iPhones. So I find that's a big part of any party now is the iPhones. But I was thinking about this, Eric. Does it get any better for a 6-month-old? Oh, to be whisked around and to be bathed at 1:00 in the afternoon, followed by whining and dining at the country club. That's what all 6-month-olds want.
Of course, perfect party.
I'm telling you, do I have the steak? Do I have the seafood? Oops, I'm getting a bottle shoved in my mouth. Oh boy, why is it so loud in here? I want to go home. I'm flailing my hands. I'm spitting up. I'm crying. I'm screaming. And by the way, that was just me. Imagine what the baby was thinking. And so, the flight home. Here's one of the other pictures I want to show you. 2 more for you. Here's the flight home. Take a look at this. I mean, that's as close to private service as you can get. There were very few people on the plane going home. That shocked me that not that many people on a Saturday night were flying from New York to Florida. Maybe they all flew in on Friday. That's the only thing I can guess. So I get back home, and my helper, my assistant, who's helping us with the move and doing some things, there he is, taking his union break. And look at that. There's his phone. I'm telling you, those phones are nothing but trouble. Now, that was my weekend, Eric. So in 24 hours, jump back forth. Up all night on Friday night, go to this thing on Saturday, fly home Saturday night. I don't know what Sunday was like because I slept half of Sunday and felt like I was in a coma the rest of yesterday. But anyway, yeah, that was my getaway from the mundane moving going on. So let's talk about the markets. And like I said, I've got to talk about stocks. I've got to talk about options. I got to talk about crypto. But before I get into that, let's talk about my brand new release. So we got something that we started that we've been working on over the last year. And it's my newest advance in trading technology. Maybe you heard about it. It's called Quantum Scripts. And so a lot of you have already joined me in this new program. I want to thank you for putting your trust in me. And I could not be more excited. This is the first new release that our group, that myself and my programmers have done in quite some time. So Quantum Scripts is different than anything I've ever done before, especially with in conjunction with Money Map Press. It's more comprehensive, but yet what we decided to do is, because when I look at what we do right now, okay, so we have a put selling product, which is Rocket Wealth. We have crypto products. We have a volatility product. But the one thing that I really love that was missing from what it is that we offer right now is a trend following product, something that looks for the trend. And so we found it. Now, we found it works in both up markets and, more importantly, in down markets. We've done all the back testing. And what's interesting is, when I go back and I look at back tests on the bulls for the last 5 years, okay, well, yeah, the market's pretty much gone up in the most part. But when I was looking at the bears, even the bears had some really good returns, which is tough to do when the markets have been pretty much moving up, at least until this year, when you go back and you run a 5-year back test on stuff like this. So when I say no matter which direction, that's what I mean, both up and down markets. And the other thing is, this isn't Brutus. This is something completely different. So it's not straddles. It's not buying volatility. We are looking more importantly at the delta of the move. This is a different Greek, and that delta is more of the direction of the move. Now, what happens is this tool we have will help surface the best bull and the best bear trades. All right. And I'm going to tell you, the thing doesn't lie. If we don't get anything, then I get a blank for the day. But from what I've been doing and what I can see with this particular type of system, we are typically getting one to two really good opportunities on a weekly basis, and more than that. But we vet these, and we're also going to be releasing now Wednesday. It's going to be my first day with the group at 1 p.m. And I've got a special announcement on something that we are going to be upgrading everybody to. So those of you that are part of Quantum Scripts, you got to join me Wednesday at 1 p.m. because that's going to be in our special room together. And I'm going to tell you about something brand new that we just cooked up over the weekend. We're so excited about it. Yeah, I did it in between the flight to New York and then the flight back to Florida because I was thinking of you guys. All right. I mean, what else am I going to think of as I'm kneeling, standing, sitting, worshiping?
You're a good man,
I'm
Tom.
just kidding. I took it too far, didn't I, Eric?
It's all right, man. You can do whatever you want.
Anyway, guys, for those of you who already joined me in the program, thank you very much. We did release a bull and a bear pick today. And so I'll get into those. I'll get into that special announcement and that upgrade we're talking about. That's going to be our members only session on Wednesday. So if you haven't joined me yet, there's still time to get in. Do we have a link, Eric?
A link has just popped up on the screen. So everyone that's watching, you could click on that link right there, or the phone number is down below. I'll also put a link in the chat for everyone right now as well, just in case they may happen to want to join you with this, because many have. The chat was kind of blowing up. A lot of people are in and already in on the first trade.
Awesome. All right. And like I said, we're going to be following these daily. And so I will be getting in touch with you by email, by text, and come talk to me on Wednesday. And we'll talk about the entire strategy. And we're really going to show everybody the foundations of how this thing actually started. Because in order to get to that, you really have to go back with me a good 20 to 25 years, because that's the foundations of this particular system. And it just scratches the surface. So let's go ahead and let's get into our market check. And I'm going to need a little more time than you got for me there, Eric. So I'm really going to need about 15 minutes because I want to get into this, not in too much detail, but I don't want to hear the buzzer sounding when I'm not only halfway through, because this is a big week. And we will be getting into more than what I'm going to show you today, starting tomorrow and, of course, Wednesday. All right. Because it's Cryptocurrency Monday, we're going to spend the last half hour talking about cryptos. But I want to talk about this week. So let's get into it. Stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, and, of course, we'll get to cryptos. But after I talk about the big six. What's the big six? No, I was not in Atlantic City at any time during my weekend. In fact, that would have required more time for me. But the big six is the big six wheel. Any of you know what the big six wheel is? All right. The big six I'm talking about are what I believe the biggest 6 companies to report earnings in the next few days. And I bet you know most of them. All right. I'll show you what I'm talking about in just momentarily. Let's pop over to my charts real quick. And what I want to do is I'm going to get back to that in a moment. Let's start with SPY. And let me do a quick little reset here. You can see what's going on. Another day to the downside. We really are looking to come down and pop that support level down here around 416, right? So let me put the big red mouse up here so that everybody can see what is happening.
What's the name of that mouse, Tom? Because everybody loves that mouse. When it's not here, did you name it? I mean, you named Brutus.
Yeah,
no name.
I don't have a name. It's Clifford, the big red mouse.
There you go, Clifford. I like that. Cool.
Okay. So anyway, Clifford, I'm looking at that 416 all the way down here at the bottom. And that's the triple bottom that we saw that happened both in February and March. And boy, does it look like we're heading down there real soon. And here's the other thing that makes me believe that is, look where the implied volatility was at that time when we hit these levels down here. We were coming up on IV levels that were above 30. Well, guess where we are now? 29. I'm telling you, we get down here at or below the 416 level, that implied volatility number is going to come up and do a meet and greet with what happened in March, at the beginning of March. So very possible that that could happen, and we'll see where we go from there. Now, last week, I was particularly bullish on this whole move, and I put some very, very short-term options on. I'm sure some of you out here are saying, well, how did that go? It actually went really well because those options expired on Wednesday, right? And here was Wednesday's move. And then here's Thursday, Friday, and today. And so obviously, if it was a Friday option, I wouldn't have fared so well. But I took advantage of that quick little implied volatility. I might do that again this week. We'll see. But I really would like to see us come down and test that 416 number. So I need a little more time for that to happen. All right. So very, very critical that we hold this point. I'm not so sure we're going to, Eric. I think we very well may come down and cut through this, because usually when you get a triple bottom, it happens, and we rush back down there again, more than likely we're going to take that bottom out and we're going to head lower. So if we break 416, then the round robin number, 400 on SPY. Okay. If you want to go a little deeper than that, take a look at DIA, because they're all moving lower. Here's DIA. 326 is the area that we'd see DIA to drop to. A little bit stronger than what we're seeing happening with SPY. How about the NASDAQ? Let's look at the Qs real quick. So here's QQQ. QQQ looks a little weaker. It's coming very close to its lows right there around 319. If you go back and you look at the double bottom that occurred as well. All three of these, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, moving lower. All three of these, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, higher implied volatility. If you take a look at the NASDAQ, however, it has already come up to meet the areas that were higher both at the beginning of the year and the beginning of March. The reason I believe that this has already come up to meet those highs is because we have earnings coming out on a lot of stocks that trade in the NASDAQ this week. So it's not so much because we're seeing this big crash. That's not happening in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was actually positive earlier this morning. No, I believe it's because you've got the Googles, the Apples, the Amazons, and the likes of those that are reporting, and everybody's getting ahead, maybe too far ahead, buying call options and buying put options and driving the implied volatilities higher in those names, which are QQQ related. All right, so back to our stock list. Let's move over and let's take a look at the bond market. And you can see the bond market, last week we were talking about the fact that it fell through 120. And from there, we've seemed to get a little bit of a relief. This relief rally could be because we're now starting to see new lows in the stock market. So that's what we're seeing now. Again, implied volatility in bond market, very, very high. The bond market is expecting something. And so don't expect volatility to drop anytime in the near term. I think that we could be selling ahead of May. All right. Remember, sell in May and go away? This could be a sell ahead of May and go away sooner. That's what the event looks like it's shaping up to be. UUP, here's another confirmation. New fresh highs for the year on UUP, as we're now at $27.20. Just to give you an idea, at the beginning of the year, we were down here in the low 25s. You might say, hey, Tom, 2 points is not a big move. 2 points is a 10% move in the dollar when you're looking at it versus the other currencies in this basket, this double dollar basket. That's a big jump. USO taking a breather. This is interesting. So you get the move where we're seeing lower highs. You get the move where we've got higher lows. We broke through that. Is that going to be a test for USO to move lower? Possibly. Right now, what I'm seeing is we got some support, some weekly support coming up down here in the high 60s, in the low 70s for USO. And then from there, going below 70. And then finally, where we see what we call stock chart peak support. That's happening in the low 60s. We're still a long way from that, but it's possible. Possible, but not probable. But it is absolutely possible that could be happening. So there's USO. How about gold? Well, gold fell right down today. Fell right down to its support levels, right down here at around 177. I'm going to pick up some gold today, Eric. I'm
Very
not sure
nice.
how. If I'm going to
Is it
buy
going to
some
be jewelry
GLD.
for your wife, Tom, or is it going to
No,
be
it's going to
just?
be jewelry for my account.
There you
I'm going to
go.
buy some GLD. I might sell some puts. I haven't made a decision yet, but I'm planning on doing this before the close today
Nice.
because we're down into some interesting levels, and I like owning. I like uh, long term ownership of this. I think it's the quiet asset that will wake itself. And we're down to a level I've been waiting for to add to my position. So that's GLD. Now, let's talk for a few minutes about the big six. All right. The big six, and then we'll get to cryptocurrency. So the big six are what I call the heavy hitters. These are the ones that are set to report earnings this week. It's not all of them by far. I've seen a lot of stocks. This is the sweet spot we're in right now, Eric. The sweet spot is where we see the most amount of earnings coming out of companies within this week. And we'll probably see that happening again next week. And then it's going to slowly start to die off. But this is the sweet spot right now. Eric, you play golf?
Tom, what I always say is I have clubs.
Me too.
That's
I'm
about it,
exactly
though.
like you. I have clubs,
Yeah.
but I don't play.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
one of the clubs I have is something that resembles Big Bertha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a Big
It's a
Bertha.
real big
Hmm?
Callaway club. I mean, that club head is almost as big as my head.
Yep.
It's hard to miss with this thing.
I'll still miss.
Although I also think it's hard to move it through the air because it's so big. It's like swatting at a golf ball with a tennis racket. So Big Bertha, like any club, the closer you hit to the center and just a little bit down off center, that's what they call the sweet spot. You hit that, you hit it, and you hear that ping on the ball, and you know you hit it dead center. So what's happening right now is we are hitting dead center with the bulk of earnings. The first stock I want to talk about, let's take a look at it, is Microsoft. Microsoft is set to report tomorrow, 4/26, after the bell. And as you can see, the last time Microsoft had earnings, I mean, literally the day before, we had lows that were down here near 275. Now we had a little bit of a move higher, got up to around 315, then back down to below 275. Then we ratcheted ourselves back up to 315 again. So if we just look at this area right here, in fact, if I were to cut this off from 100 days, so let's see what 90 does for us. Might take it a little bit further down. You can see right here, Eric. Can you see that box? Where we're getting these resistance numbers, we're getting support numbers. We're right down here in the support area. Mm-hmm. And, although Microsoft's pulled back quite a bit because the entire market has, this one's interesting to see because it could be potentially a value trade coming into what we see going on. Now, it also is down here at the bottom for a reason. So keep that in mind. Next on the 6 heavy hitters is Google. They're also set to report in one day. They are also at the bottom of the chart, but look at this. They broke out Thursday. They broke below their bottom. Friday, continued moving down. Getting a little bit of a relief rally today. But look at that implied volatility number. I mean that implied volatility just shot up like a rocket. We were at 25 back when Google was trading at around 2,700. Google's at 24.28, and now we've jumped to 65. So this has more than doubled. That means the options time premium is more than doubled just in the last couple of weeks. Very bearish. All right, when you see that drop now, the resistance is now resistance to the upside is now what used to be support. Support's become resistance. Number 3. Meta platforms, otherwise known as Facebook, or the artist formerly known as Facebook, who back before its last earnings event was trading above $320 a share. No more, no mas, as we've come down to the 185 level, which I believe is a great value level. But you can see it as it's moved up here, but look what's happened in the last 2 weeks. Boom, right back down to those 182.56 right now. So for those of you that like Meta platforms, I like the money that Meta platforms puts on the board every quarter. They put some dollar signs on the board. But what I'm a little nervous about is their future business plans, how they're going to extract money from the metaverse. And so these guys know a lot more than I do. I'm not going to claim to say that they're doing things right or wrong, but I do think that when you do a course correction on your company itself, so much to where you actually change the name of your company, then it could take years for that to come into play. So if you're looking at snatching up some Facebook, or excuse me, some meta platforms, you better be prepared to stay in it for quite some time. I can tell you right now, for those of you that like meta platforms, there's only one way to trade this: sell puts. If you want to own the stock, because you see this right here, Eric, this tells me that this 105, this used to be below 50 a week ago. In a week, this has doubled. A little more than a week, it has doubled. Option premium has doubled in value. So if you weren't buying puts over here, you don't want to be buying over here. You want to be selling. You want to sell that high, fluffy volatility. And so that's what I got to say about meta platforms. Next, we've got Apple. Okay, so Apple so far, out of everything we looked at Microsoft, we looked at Google, we looked at Meta, now we're looking at Apple. Apple is the strongest because it's not down here near its lows of February and March. It's sitting right here. It's sitting on double line support, but it too has gone up and doubled in the last month in terms of option premium. Now, I think so far looking at all of these, Apple's got to put some good numbers up on the board. If they don't, then we got issues, right? Now, I'm going to poll both the YouTube group and I'm going to poll the Money Map group. How many of you think Apple is going to come in and beat expectations? And how many of you believe they're going to miss? So in the chat, I want you to put either beat or I want you to put miss. Please do so now, because as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking based on that number, we're seeing that big number, that volatility's gone up. There's a lot of sideline betting going on in terms of who's buying calls thinking they're going to beat, who's buying puts thinking they're going to miss. What do you think? So what do you see out there in Money Map land?
Tom, the chat is always split. It seems like close to a 50-50 split, maybe a little bit more on the beat, but definitely a split group, and everyone seems to have come with their comments, which I appreciate. Thanks for being live in the chat. How about on YouTube? Yeah, what does it look like over there?
Very crickets.
Crickets over there. Well, then hang out with us.
Yeah, it's crickets. Nobody on YouTube wants to talk about Apple.
They're all here,
we want to talk about USO and they want to talk about gold. But I look at this and I could really go both ways. I mean, and what I mean by both ways is we know supply chain is going to hurt Apple's iPhone, but has it really hurt the sales? I don't know. We know that this move coming off here from 180 down to 160 we might have those softer numbers, Eric, baked in. All so. Right. I am seeing that, so a little bit on YouTube on a slight beat is what we're seeing popping up on YouTube. Okay, we're not done yet. Let's take a look at Amazon. That's another one. Not at its low. It double bottomed at the beginning of the year, just above 2,700, and then it spiked just below 2,700 around the first week of March. Moved from there. This is a lot of movement. When you get a stock goes from 2,700 to 3,400, and then back to 2,860. That's a lot of movement in this particular stock. You know what the guys at Amazon got to be thinking? They got to be thinking, I can't wait till this stock split goes through and this volatility gets sucked out of our stock. And that's exactly what's going to end up happening. Volatility, when you do a 20-for-1 stock split, that's going to suck a lot of the volatility out, because all the folks that are buying and selling options on these big strike prices that are happening over here on the left-hand side, a lot of them are going to go away for something bigger. And I do think that you're going to see some of the volatility just in sheer numbers and in the amount of stock that's going to be available after that split happens. I believe it's in July this is supposed to happen. Once that happens, you're going to see some of the vol just go away. All right, but here's what I'm talking about, guys. Less than a month ago, Amazon trading at 30 on the implied volatility. It's above 60 today. Again, same thing we've been talking about with most of the other stocks on the big six, and that was that we're seeing stock prices drop, but we're seeing implied volatility. We're seeing option prices double in value. Last one, and I'm throwing it up here for those of you chip hungry for chips. Intel. Intel, $56.
I was thinking potato chips.
No,
You weren't talking potato chips. Okay.
No, I wasn't. So we were around $52, Eric, before that earnings announcement came out, and it beat, and yet it dropped down. And within a month later, we're trading down in the mid 40s. We double bounced on the mid 40s, ran right back up to 52, right back down into the 40s again. And here we sit today at $46.54, very close to Friday's close. But again, you got option traders going in here bidding these up ahead of earnings. All of these stocks are announcing this week. And again, I could have picked a bunch more, and we could have just went over and over and over again with these. But I want to show you what I'm looking at. We'll get into these a little bit more in a little more detail tomorrow, all right, and see what Brutus thinks. And then, of course, Wednesday, I'm going to be looking at these a little differently as we're looking to find the right price to pay for these stocks. So there you go, Eric. Let's
well done, Tom.
ready to get into cryptocurrency.
Yeah, let's get into them. I heard that you have a bit of a public service announcement to start things off here.
I do. I'm going to keep talking about this because if I can save one person, then I've done my job. All right.
I agree.
So take a look at this. Here's something that I got. I think this was a day or two ago. Coinbase News. I'm like, wow, I didn't know Coinbase had news. Coinbase News. Coinbase says Vitalik Buterin announces biggest Ethereum giveaway. And when I go and look at this, and you go through it, and there's a video, and it looks real because it's got him there talking. And a lot of people will get excited, and they start reading this, and it says, send us 3 Bitcoin, and then we'll send you back 6. No, nobody does that. Send me 3 Bitcoin, I'm going to send you back 6. Send me 10 Bitcoin, I'm going to send you back 20. Nobody does that. In fact, when you go Google this guy, yeah, he gives away, you know what he did? He gave away Ethereum, and he gave away Shiba. He gave away over $1 billion worth of it to India's COVID relief fund. And what's been happening is the YouTube's been videos. The scammers have just come out of the woodworks. They're like roaches. And they're sending emails to anybody who's on their lists. Apparently I'm on their lists. And so here, when I look this up, I don't have to go very far down the way, and I see crypto giveaway scams continue to flourish on YouTube. Giveaway scan, removal and recovery, the PC risk is YouTube live giveaway, and it looks live too. That's the other thing. These things pop up live all the time, and I imagine YouTube, is trying to get rid of these things as quick as possible, and it does look real. But it is not, okay? So I wanted to make sure you knew that. And here's the way you can find out very quickly without doing all this work that I just did. You go to, put the, Eric, if you haven't, put the Coinbase, the reply up there.
Coinbase
there
News.
It is. I red circled it too, all right? You see that? It says Vitalik dash Ethereum at something, something, something really long. No. Don't go there, guys. Please don't be that guy. Don't be the guy or the gal that falls for this scam. All right. So that's my public service announcement, Eric.
Thank you, Tom. I think it's important that you do it. Honestly, these things look real. And there's been many times that things come through my inbox and it looks real. And if you don't know what you're talking about, or if you're new to this space, you can get caught up in things. So I think it's important that you share.
What these guys are doing is, you might wonder, but wait, it looks real. It's him.
Yeah. Right.
He's talking at a forum. Yeah, what they're doing is they're taking that video and they're rebroadcasting it as live with then all their click here. Vitalik wants to give you Ethereum. He doesn't want to give you Ethereum. He's giving his Ethereum away. He gave it to charity. I gave cryptocurrency away to charity. All right. But guys, no one's going to give you 20 Bitcoin if you give them 10. It doesn't work that way. All right. Nowhere. Just like the last one I told that I was talking about, where people were saying, oh, I have Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. They're the best manager. My 5 Bitcoin have grown to 20 Bitcoin. And that's a scam too. Okay. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So there you go. So let's look at some real news in the markets for crypto.
Let's do that.
And Eric,
I got this one to start us out. We have the AKU Ethereum NFT launch ends with 34 million locked in flawed smart contracts. Mistakes in the code for the prominent project launch mean that $34 million worth of Ethereum is apparently inaccessible. This means it's sent somewhere and it's just sitting there and no one can get it out. And if you put your money in, you're kind of stuck. I feel like this kind of stuff happens sometimes in these NFT deals.
And this was real. This was not a scam.
Right.
The only problem is that, the only problem here is you got some buggy code. You got some programmers that look like my assistant. Did we put my assistant up on the page? The one Sleepy Dan?
Oh yeah, we have. Let me grab him again. We got him right here.
That could be the guy.
This guy right here.
Yes. Oh. That could be the guy that was supposed to be doing the code for the Art Basel in Miami. And unfortunately,
very well may have been.
He's sleeping on the job. All right.
Could have been.
Eric, you know me. I have a general rule when it comes to what types of crypto and DeFi assets that I invest in. And it's exactly for reasons like this. Okay. I have very, very few private tokens that I've invested in. The 99% of my money in cryptocurrency is in Coinbase tokens that are on Coinbase, that trade on Coinbase. In fact, that's my number one question. Is it available on Coinbase? That's just a start. Just because it's available on Coinbase doesn't mean it's good. Coinbase used to be, they used to vet, they used to look at white pages, and they used to really just take their time, and they wouldn't put anything up there unless they thought it was good. And it was almost good that anytime Coinbase put something up, it was worth investing in. Not anymore, because Coinbase is a publicly traded company. They are looking out for themselves and their shareholders now, okay? Not their consumer, not their customer, okay? But that's the first start, is available on Coinbase. Then we look at the white lists. Now, the other thing I want to look at is how many zeros does it have to the right of the decimal? Am I doing that right? I'm not sure how that looks coming across the... Let me
Option 2 worked out well. Yeah, that's the right for me.
Mm-hmm. To the right of the decimal. That's my left, by the way. You want to... more zeros it has to the right, the more efficient it could trade, right? And so keep that in mind. And we're going to talk about that in a moment, because if you go 8 decimals to the right on Bitcoin, that equals 1 satoshi, right? What is a satoshi? We'll figure that one out in a few minutes too. Outside of NFTs, Morgan Stanley had a little note on Thursday about Bitcoin discussing the possibility for large-scale adoption. Do you have that one, Eric?
Of course I do, Tom. And it says Bitcoin's use as currency may just be getting started, Morgan Stanley says. What do you think about that? I mean, it wasn't created to be a currency. Or do you think it could actually become one?
Well, it is in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of countries that are adopting Bitcoin now as a currency. We've been talking about adoption on a major scale for months now, all right? If not the last year, we've been talking about this adoption. So I believe some countries are going to push it to become an alt currency for the country. And then there are going to be some countries, like I like to call them the Kuna countries, all right? You know what the Kuna countries are, Eric?
Is that like Hakuna Matata Lion King stuff? Or
No. I thought you were going to say that. It's not Hakuna Matata. No worries, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
But Kuna countries have the perception of Hakuna Matata, but they clothe them in high taxes and big governments. So Kuna stands for, it's CUNA, Canada, US, New Zealand, Australia. That's your Kuna countries. I believe those countries will hold out the longest in terms of adopting crypto for anything more than an asset which they can tax. Now, they would be stupid to ban crypto because they realize this is something that's not cheap anymore. We can tax it. We could tax it like a stock, like an asset. We could generate revenue that wasn't there before. And then, of course, you got countries like India and China that want to do an outright ban on it. I think they're missing the bigger picture, but that's another conversation for another time. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the subject.
Thank you, Tom. And that's going to bring us into our strategy session. Are you prepared? Are you ready for strategy?
Well, we're going to look at cryptocurrency charts, and I just want to look at some of the big ones right now. And I'm going to circle back around to Bitcoin.
You got it.
We're going to talk about the satoshi and how to get involved in the actual, in what a satoshi is going to cost you. We know what a Bitcoin costs. Just look at the current price. I think it's 39,100. Okay. And that's a lot to shell out for one coin. But what about one Satoshi? What's one Satoshi cost? We're going to get to that in just a second. So let's pop on over and let's look at cryptocurrency charts. And I've got a chart here of BTC. You can see here, BTC has been seeing its way down off of the highs that happened from January to just the beginning of this month when we hit 47,445. We ripped very quickly to just below the 61.8% retracement level. That was down here in the 39s. Jumped back up for literally a day, and we got above the 50% back to the 38 and then right back down. And here we are sitting right down in the low 39s. So not that much farther below. We took a stab earlier this morning. We took a stab last week. But again, you guys know me. I'm all about the close. I'm all about the open and the close. I want the middle of the candle, not the wicks. Okay? You get burned on the wicks. That just seems to be my philosophy when it comes to not only stocks, but cryptocurrency as well. So we're kind of hanging out in this area. We'll see where we end up going. We could come back down and potentially test that 35,075. But I am believing that there's more building of pressure here, buying pressure, than we've seen before. We didn't see this kind of building of buying pressure back here in February, March, or even early January, even though we did have that move up. We're getting some very interesting buying pressure happening again right here below 40,000. We're seeing that as we speak. So that's Bitcoin. Let's go to ETH, which is Ethereum. And here's ETH. Is ETH stronger or weaker? Going to find out. It is still stronger. When you look at Ethereum, I think, when I look at my phone, I get notifications all the time on this thing, and I know you guys do too. Let's see if I got some notifications lately. No, not yet. But I'll get something that pops up that says Bitcoin's down 5%, Ethereum's down 5.5% in the last X number of hours. We see that. Yes, thank you. I already know that. I don't need you to just shove it right in my face. But when you look at the chart has a different explanation. The chart shows the lows back in January, just like it did for Bitcoin. The chart shows the highs at the end of March, just like it did for Bitcoin. This is Ethereum's highs. The pullback is still at or slightly above that 2836. That's the 61% retracement, where Bitcoin is slightly below it. So it shows Ethereum is stronger on the Fibonacci chart. Okay. So, how do we buy this? How do we buy this with fractions? Very, very simple. If you've never done this before and you're trying to figure out a way how to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum and not pony up the $39,000, let me slide this over. So here is Bitcoin today. So we see what happened at 6 a.m. when it was trading up here at close to 40,000. We saw the drop that happened. This is 6 p.m., 6 a.m. And from 6 a.m., we've gone from 38,200 to 39,400 we're hitting right now. So, I could come in here and I could buy this, and it's going to cost me about 39,500. That's what we're seeing happening right now. So I could do that, but not all of us have $40,000 in extra cash just hanging around in our account. So what is a satoshi? A satoshi is the smallest amount of Bitcoin that you can have. What's a satoshi going to cost me? So if I come out here, let's see if I can do a satoshi real quick. There's my limit price. Okay. Here's the amount of Bitcoin. So notice here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I come all the way out here, Eric, and I just delete 1 0 and I put a 1 out there, that is a satoshi.
I'm learning something new now. I didn't know this.
So a satoshi is only going to cost me 1 cent. Okay, everybody's got 1 cent. So let's just take this up a little bit more. So let's go 7 decimal places to the right. All right, still 1 cent. All right, let's try again. Let's go 6 decimal places. 4 cents. Let's go 5 decimal places. 40 cents. Can you afford 40 cents, Eric?
I can. My question, Tom, is what are the fees for that transaction? That's something kind of interesting, huh?
Okay, so I'm 4 decimal places to the right, and I'm buying out 1 fraction of 1 BTC, 4 decimal places. So that's 1/1000th of a Bitcoin. It's going to cost me $3.97 right now, and it's 2 cents in an estimated fee. That's not so bad.
Not at all.
Not bad at all. Okay, let's take this. Let's move to 3. Now it's going to cost me about $40, $39.61. And look, you got a 24 cent. So it's relatively in line still. All right, let's go to 1 penny or 1/10 of a Bitcoin. There we go. Up $395. Looks like I got to add some funds. All my funds are already used up. I'm all funded up right now in this Coinbase account.
I'll send you some cash, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
You're
So if I wanted to buy 1/10 of a Bitcoin, that's going to be $3,959 and a $23 estimated fee. So you can see there that Bitcoin and Ethereum, for that matter, and practically every other cryptocurrency can be fractionalized down. Bitcoin can be fractionalized down 8 decimal places to the right, which all of a sudden now is good for anybody's wallet. So I wanted to just share that with those of you that are new to this, thinking that you don't have the money to purchase Bitcoin because it's too expensive. No, it's just you didn't realize that you can buy it in fractions. Stocks can now be bought in fractions. We know this, all right? A lot of brokers offer what they like to call a slice of a share, a slice. And this is the same thing, all right, in this case. So, Eric, you know what that brings us to?
Well, did we go through strategy? To be honest with you, Tom, I don't know if we're on chat, questions and answers, or if you have some more strategy you want to talk about. So you're going to have to guide me.
Yeah, no, that was it. The big thing I want to talk about today was just getting in line with the folks. Oh, you know what? Let me just show you Ethereum because you know what you can do with Bitcoin. Let's talk about Ethereum. Let me bring this back down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this chart price here. By the way, guys, I am in my Coinbase account right now, okay? And so I'm in my Coinbase account, and I'm going to Ethereum, and I want to show you that Ethereum is no different, okay? Here you go. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decimal places to the right. So if you can't, if you're looking at Ethereum, it's at 2,900. You know, 1/10 of Ethereum, 0.1, all right, is only going to cost $290. So again, you can fractionalize these down to what works for you as both a trader and an investor. So that's our strategy session for today. Very, very easy, very light. I wanted to pull it back a little bit. We'll get into all of our altcoins at 1 o'clock for those of you that are interested in knowing what some of our open positions are doing. If you're part of Microcurrency Trader, then hang out with me at 1 o'clock and we'll get into all of our coins that we have open right now. We'll see what's going on with our open positions. More importantly, we'll see what's going on with the more recent ones. We actually had a trade last week, and we'll update you on that. We'll look and see what's going on with it. I don't think there's a whole lot that has changed other than the fact that we're seeing slight downward pressure across the currencies. We did get out of one of them last week, or no, last month. We got out of SNX, and then there was another one we got out of just last week. It was Kyber. Kyber gave us our 100% profits last week too. So, what questions do you have for me, Eric?
Yeah, I actually grabbed one from our live chat right here, which we're going to get to first. And it's from Grass Mower. It's that season, right? Any thoughts on how to invest for profit on the coming cooking oil shortage, Tom? Maybe there's something there.
And the answer is don't run to the grocery store. Start stocking up on Crisco. Do they even make Crisco still?
I'm sure they do.
That just showed my age. Crisco. Okay. Or you could just not shower, and you can take the grease from your hair. Maybe that could be a way of getting along some type of oil. I don't know if it's vegetable oil or what. Seriously, however, though, there are a couple ways you could do it. One is trading the futures contracts. Problem is when you get into vegetable oil, futures markets are very illiquid. So I would say what's going to happen in vegetable oil is likely to happen in not just in vegetable oil, but across the board in crude oil, right? Because if vegetable oil is being used to help supply the ethanol and gas, that's because supplies currently, using crude and crude byproducts are already low. So that's one way you could do it, right? Another would be to look at agricultural stocks and agricultural ETFs like DBA, right? DBA is the Deutsche Bank Agriculture Index, I believe, and DBA is one way to invest in agriculture across the board. So that's an idea there for you.
Love it, Tom. Love it. Thank you. Well, let's how about this one right here? Any update on UMA and SNX, or is this something we're going to hold for the 1 o'clock? What do you want to do here?
Well, we're going to hold for the 1 o'clock because those are a part of our microcurrency trader. But SNX we got out of a couple weeks ago, hit our price target, and we are OUT on SNX.
OUT. All right, well, let's get into this question then. This is from Kurt. Tom, when you have multiple positions on a coin, how do you ensure that the appropriate tranche is sold when getting out? FIFO, LIFO, etc.
Yeah, so I'm not a tax advisor, so I want to put that out there right away, okay? I don't give tax advice when it comes to first in, first out, or last in, first out. That's FIFO, LIFO that the person is asking about, Kurt's asking about with questions. That's something where you obviously have to keep track of that. And there are instruments now, even within Coinbase now, that give you better tracking ability. And then what you do is, what I do is I turn all that information over to my accountant. And he asked me, okay, what are you doing? Are you doing the last in, last out rule or the first in, first out rule? And I will let him know. And then he will do that for me. So that's my, my best answer to you, Kurt, and anyone else out there that is buying and selling cryptocurrency, and tax season's upon us. It's actually passed us by, except for those of you that have filed extensions. Talk to your accountant. Let them know what you're trying to do, and they will work it out with what they feel is best for you when it comes to first in, first out, or last in, first out.
Well, thank you, Tom. I think you handled that one well. I grabbed this one from the chat. Then maybe you'll want to check out YouTube to see if anything's coming in from there. But what are your thoughts on GBTC at a 28% discount to NAV?
I know it really is looking like a potential buying opportunity here. But you got to remember, GBTC and more importantly, Bido and Bitfarm and all these other ETFs out there, they're all basing their buys on futures contracts. So, to me, these are more breakout type of scenarios than anything else. Let's go take a look at it. I don't think I even follow GBTC, and I'll tell you why. Because they may not have options. GBTC. Let's go ahead and take a look and see. Yeah. I only follow optionable tools, and there is no options for GBTC. So I haven't looked at the chart, but I can tell you this is that if there's any reason that you believe that we're going to see a quick run up in Bitcoin, for instance, then that might be a great one to get into because it will become an alpha. It will play catch up. It will outperform Bitcoin to the upside if we get a series of runs on BTC. So if I go back to the cryptocurrency charts just for a moment, let's talk about what that might entail, right? So going to BTC, and let's pop this up. Now, I'm not looking at this chart, guys. What I want to look at, what's going on way inside here in like the last 10 to 20 days. Let's look at 20 days. What we're looking for is some reason to get long and then possibly buy GBTC in its place. To me, we have to get back above this 41,887. You see that big pop that happened that day and then a drop afterwards? And now we're kind of dropping in. Now, this could be a good area, but it's not a momentum area, right? But we get above 41,887. Now, granted, GBTC is going to be higher at that time too. But if we get above that area, we might catch a run of a couple of big days. And that's to be a potential trading opportunity for the likes of GBTC, right? And then as I look at YouTube, I see a lot of folks that hit me on on what they felt was going on with Microsoft. A little tight quarter for consumers, thinking Apple's going to miss shy of their targets. I hope Apple doesn't do what Intel did. So really, just more opinions from the group on what's happening here in the next couple of days, Eric.
Well, that sounds good, Tom. That's fine. I mean, we're up to the last 2 minutes of the show. Do you want to talk about anything that you're looking at to kind of close things out before we go to our 1 o'clock, which hopefully
so when the market makes a kind of a rocking move like it does, I don't like to be a big buyer at 9:30 or in the morning. And as I look at what's happening across the board here, let me just look at some quick updates. When you come into a day where the market's down a couple hundred points going in the open, or the S&P is down 40, 50 points, et cetera, like right now we're down 250 and still down 42. NASDAQ's gone from positive to negative to positive to negative. I don't like to be a buyer right at 9:30. In fact, I like to do the opposite. I like to be a seller. And I'm kind of stepping up and looking at what's going on with the big six, like I talked about. Now, I'm going to be looking at these as potential value opportunities. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and, more importantly, on Wednesday, all right, as we get into some more value opportunities. But today, it's all about crypto. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I said, take a break, get back at 1:30. We're going to talk to our premium members about our watch list. What if anything, has changed in the watch list. So those of you that are microcurrency members, come and join me at 1 p.m. in our microcurrency room. And then last but not least, if you haven't joined me yet on our new Quantum Data Profits program, follow that link. Eric, put that link back up on the screen. And guys, find out what you're missing, okay? This is, again, the best trades that we look at for trending and momentum that are coming from my engineers. We look for them every single day. There are thousands of potential opportunities, but we vet them down to just a few, okay? So, and let me leave you with this too. So check this out. This is where we do a lot of the scans from our Quantum Scripts bull, and we'll run these scans, and we'll run them quite often. We got a bull today. We got a bear today. We're seeing some more buildup. We've been seeing more buildup in the bearish opportunities than I have literally in years. So is Quantum Scripts telling me something about where this market's likely to go? We'll talk about that more tomorrow, guys. So I will see you tomorrow where we'll cover more on Quantum Scripts and volatility, and I'll see you then.
And as everyone can see, we have Brian King coming up next for the next half hour. He's going to be hanging out doing some profit revolution in the main room. He's actually live right now, so we're going to cut to him in just a moment. Hope you guys enjoy.